Welcome back to our free 3-part video series, The Path to Teen Connection. Before we get started, we want to take a moment to say thank you for sharing your feedback with us. And thank you for sharing this video series with other people.
We also want to say thank you to the 222,000 people on our list who trust us to help them navigate culture with their teens.
Your desire to keep growing and digging into teen culture inspires us to keep doing what we do.
Again, the approach that we use at Access is called culture translation. It involves understanding the culture that somebody lives in, as well as the language that they speak. This is just one of the many tools and frameworks that you can use to connect with the heart of your teen. And in this video, we want to share with you some of the best frameworks that we have found.
We met a woman named Susan who's a single mom in South Africa. Her 15-year-old is agnostic. Susan decided to deliberately try to understand her daughter better. So she started reading, studying, and pursuing and thinking about what it feels like to be a 15-year-old. And through the process, she asked her daughter, "Has this been kind of weird that I've been studying and researching about what it feels like to be you?" And her daughter responded, "No. I actually appreciate that you can feel what it's like to be me now, and I like that you understand what's going on."
We ended our last video asking you to take our one conversation assessment, which helped to identify your strengths, weaknesses, and blind spots in understanding Gen Z. In this video, we're going to unpack what those results mean.
The reason we created this assessment is because of a story. We had a young lady say to us, "I've only ever had one real conversation with my dad." When she said that, we were so sad and our minds were blown. That's catastrophic. There's so much that could be lost in translation. But then she smiled. She said, "I've only had one conversation with my dad, but we've never stopped having that conversation." And we decided that's gonna be our goal, to equip parents and caring adults to have one conversation with their kids that lasts a lifetime.
Across the lifetime of our kids, there are a lot of different issues and topics of conversation that might come up. First, there are the now issues and the always issues. As just one example, parents have always had to talk to their kids about sex, but now there are conversations about sexting, porn, and gender that need to happen as well. The complication is that while there are many conversations parents are aware they need to have at some point, there are other conversations that still need to happen, but parents are unaware that these issues even exist.
The One Conversation Assessment helped you identify your strengths, weaknesses, and blind spots in 4 different areas: trends, topics, teachers, and themes. These 4 areas represent the intersection of now, always, aware, and unaware conversations. So let's unpack what each of these 4 areas refers to.
Trends represent current issues in pop culture that parents are largely unaware of, probably because pop culture changes so rapidly.
These are overnight phenomena that take the world by storm. And they might involve new memes, songs, apps, or social media challenges like the Flip the Switch challenge. You might also remember the Tide Pods challenge and the Momo challenge.
These are things that all of a sudden everybody's talking about. And they might continue talking about them for some time, but not necessarily.
Fortnite started off as a trend, but has since become a topic. We know that a trend becomes a topic when after weeks, months, even years, it's still holding people's attention. These are still current cultural forces, but because they've been around for a little bit longer, parents are becoming more aware of their influence.
Other topics would include social media staples like TikTok and Snapchat, shows like Stranger Things and I Am Not Okay With This, musicians like Billie Eilish, and cultural issues like pornography. We designed the assessment to give parents an action step for each of the 4 categories. In order to engage these now conversations, we believe it's best to start at the broadest level and then to slowly narrow focus. Looking at trends involves surveying the landscape of teen culture and all the different things that could be relevant to the teens in your life.
Once you start doing this, you'll begin to realize which of the trends in pop culture are connected to the things that your teens care about and which aren't. Then you can begin to focus in on knowing the topics that are relevant to them.
For example, maybe your kid hates Instagram and what they really care about is Mixer. Then they're more likely to be influenced by Ninja and Shroud than by Ariana Grande and Kylie Jenner. And they likely care more about video games than documenting their daily life.
Knowing the topics that are most relevant to your kids will allow you to focus on learning the nuances of what matters most to them.
The next 2 quadrants have to do with the always conversations. This brings us back to what we were talking about in video 1. the importance of intentionally forming a team, and the art of conversation. As we've said, having a team helps us save time, maximize energy, and gets us the answers we need so we can focus on having incredible moments with our teens.
One way to think about a team is that these are people who can do some of the thinking for us. We call this quadrant teachers. But here's the catch. Your teens have people who are doing the thinking for them as well, and they're teaching conclusions that may be different from yours.
These are people like Lauren Gray, Baby Ariel, James Charles, Markiplier, PewDiePie, Emma Chamberlain, and Cameron Dallas.
Often social media influencers whose names many parents don't even recognize. So this quadrant involves recognizing who's shaping us, how we're being shaped, how we want to be shaped, and making intentional decisions about all of that.
If knowing the topics is about developing what you know, then growing with teachers is about developing how you know. It's an invitation to grow in how you approach conversations with teens with the help of wise, nuanced Christian counsel. And this leads right into the fourth quadrant, talking about themes. Themes are the issues that span demographics and generations. Things like purpose, ethics, success, and relationships. Those big, timeless issues that parents know need to be discussed.
The writer of Ecclesiastes says, "There's nothing new under the sun." Even the now conversations about trends and topics are often driven by themes and desires that humans have always wrestled with. But how we talk about themes needs to be informed by how we've looked at trends, how we know the topics, and how we have grown with teachers.
Walking through these steps will help you consistently bridge the gap between you and your teen on a variety of issues. Take the issue of sexting, for example. This is obviously very serious and has major repercussions. If you were to look at teen culture, you would find that sexting has become fairly common. You would find out that at least 50% of teens have been asked to send a naked photo, and statistically, most teens think that sexting is a normal part of modern relationships.
We met a mom who said, "Whenever I come across something that scares me, I am either silent or I can become violent." When faced with a topic like sexting, she would either shut down or go into panic mode and start parenting out of frustration and fear. Our hope in making you aware of this framework is to help you find the third way, that you wouldn't have to be silent or violent. Instead, you could be confident.
Diving a little deeper into the specific topic of sexting, you'd want to know why it appeals to teens, what it is, why they're doing it, and why it's considered a normal part of their life. This is the step to know exactly what it is and truly understand the topic.
How does sexting fit into the topic of sexuality? Do I understand all the implications of having this conversation with my teen? And do I know where I stand on this topic and why? These are the questions you would start asking and answering for yourself. It's the next step in growing as a parent and leader of your teen.
Lastly, once you look at and understand the culture, you know the details and specifics of what you're dealing with, i.e. sexting, and you've done the work to grow personally, then you're ready to talk with your teen. One of the best ways to initiate conversation is to ask questions that come up as you're researching their world.
As doctors Douglas Stone, Bruce Patton, and Sheila Heen point out in their book Difficult Conversations, changes in attitudes and behavior rarely come about because of arguments, facts, and attempts to persuade. How often do you change your values and beliefs, or whom you love, or what you want in life, based on something someone tells you? And how likely are you to do so when the person who is trying to change you doesn't seem to be aware of the reasons you see things differently in the first place? For whatever reason, when we believe that others are trying to understand our point of view, our defenses usually go down, and we're more willing to listen to their point of view. The ultimate goal of the 4 T's is to help you establish the most important T, trust. It's to help you get to the point where your teen trusts that you care about them and you have their best interest at heart.
Many of the greatest athletic coaches of all time have never really played the sport. They just know how to put themselves in the player's position. What makes you a great parent isn't your experience, but your ability to see things from your kid's perspective and then respond on that level. This is crucial no matter what behavior is being addressed, whether it's sexting or another issue like vaping. Before even talking about the actual behavior, think back to your own junior high and high school experiences and how certain behaviors might have felt like the key to social acceptance at some point. The goal here is to get to the heart level, underneath the behavior, so you can respond on a heart level.
Some of you may be thinking, Well, our family doesn't need to have any of these heavier conversations because my kid doesn't do anything that I disagree with. They're not drinking, they're not vaping, or having sex. And that's great, if it's true. However, many parents can be surprised at what their teens might be hiding. One student told us, the stricter the parent, the sneakier the child. We don't bring that up to arouse suspicion or fear, but simply to encourage you that when in doubt, to err on the side of proactive conversation.
On the flip side, many of today's churches, Christian schools, and ministries might have some great rule-abiding students who have sour hearts and a legalistic faith. Just because your teen's behavior is good doesn't mean that they aren't on the spectrum between confused and downright rejecting faith, God, and the truth you want to govern their lives. The point is to get to know what's going on underneath the surface, and the way to do that is through conversation.
So those are the 4 categories: looking at trends, knowing the topics, growing with teachers, and talking about themes. And again, notice, 3 out of 4 of these quadrants are things you do on your own: reading, researching, self-examining, and developing your own point of view before the conversation happens. But where do you even begin with the research?
Well, every Wednesday, you could check the updated music charts on Billboard's Hot 100, then listen to New Music Friday on Spotify. You could download every new social media app that comes out so you know what it's like before your kid does.
You could watch all the Netflix shows that come out and all the new teen dramas and spend some time learning the ins and outs of Fortnite, Apex Legends, Escape from Tarkov, and League of Legends.
Does this sound overwhelming? Well, what if we told you that Access has already developed the most robust system for effectively doing everything that we've just told you about? This is what we've been working on for the past 12 years, and we are ready to reveal it to you in the next video.